Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Hunter Coy. Today's video was another last minute change. I had another video that I was going to do, and then let's just say I got myself in a better mindset, so I don't think I'm going to do that video right away. And then there was another video that I was going to do, but instead of stoop to that level, I'm not going to do that video. That video will actually be saved for another occasion. The two aforementioned videos will be done at some point, but not right away, given my more positive than usual mindset at the moment. As I stated, this video was kind of a last minute change, and I wasn't going to do this particular video, but as I do with most videos, I got to thinking about stuff this afternoon while I was getting ready for the day, and figured that this would be a good video to do. Excuse me. And then the one that I'm going to do next week will basically be a follow-up to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about seasons. And in order for me to indulge in the meaning of this video, I have to give you guys a little bit of a backstory. Just a little. So, for those of you who don't know, I was born in June. And June is more than likely a pretty hot month. For the last 32 years that I've been alive, with the exception of one particular year, which we will get to later in the video, it will be normally hot. And when I say hot, it usually ranges anywhere from, I'd say, like 65 to 90 degrees and above, at least for, the 32 Junes that I remember. They say that the season that you are born in says a lot of what type of person you are when it comes to weather. And I was thinking about it after I decided to do that as the topic for tonight's video, and I figured out that it's 50-50. Just because of the fact that I know people who are born in all four different seasons, who either like that season or don't like that season. I know people who are born in the middle of winter and prefer it hot. And I also know people who are born in the middle of summer and like it cold. On the other side of the spectrum, I know people who are born in the two seasons in between, fall and spring, who like it the opposite. People who are born in spring that like fall, people who are born in fall who like spring. And of course, you got the people who are actually born in the seasons who like that season. Like me, I was born, technically, I was born the day before the first day of summer. I love the heat. My ideal temperatures are anything above 65 degrees. For some reason, I do not have a limit to my temperature. My personal history has shown me that I can survive in temperatures ranging anywhere from 89 to 100 degrees, which in my lifetime I have been in a couple of. There was a couple summers where it did get up above 100 degrees, and I was the happiest person on the planet in those temperatures. Not sure why. I was exhausted afterwards, being outside all day. And also, because of my skin color, I do not burn. I could go out in the sun shirtless in a pair of shorts all day. I might tan a little bit in certain areas, but I do not get sunburnt. I've never sunburnt a day in my life. There was a few times, like I said, I do tan in certain areas. There was one particular summer where I had been wearing a tank top, obviously not the same one, but I had been wearing a tank top for like a week straight, because it was a particular year where summertime was actually really, I can't say it was hot, but it was actually very, very warm. I think temperatures were between 75 and 85 degrees. And I think it was the 6th day of that 7-day cycle, I had taken my tank top off and noticed that I had tan lines, across my chest, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't particularly get tan lines, just because, most of the time I'm wearing a t-shirt and a pair of pants or something. If I'm indoors, if I'm in for the night, I'm usually wearing a pair of shorts, which is normally what I wear all the time. Anytime I go out somewhere, always underneath my pants or whatever I'm wearing, always wearing a pair of shorts, just so that when I get home, change right into them. But that's epic foreshadowing, hint, hint. Anyway, back to the season thing. Like I said, with me, I love the heat. Summertime is my favorite. Just because, I'm not limited to, well, actually, I don't want to say this, but, well, I'm not going to say it, but I don't have to pretty much restrict what I wear. I've gone outside in just shorts before. I actually did it the other day, when I was home by myself this week, that we're just finishing. We had a day where it was 60 some degrees. I slept in for most of the afternoon because I didn't really have anything to do. And when I woke up, first thing I did was go outside in just my shorts. It was actually pretty nice. It had already reached like 57 degrees, and I think it was only 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was supposed to get up to, I think, 64 or 65 that day. I unfortunately did not spend any time outside that day, just because I had nothing else to do. I think it was Thursday was that day. And I mostly stayed inside. Shame on me. But just didn't have nothing to do, didn't want to go anywhere. So, but it was nice that day. The day before I had lots to do. I had a meeting with my advocate, and we actually decided to sit outside because it was so nice out. It was another 60 some degree weather day. And I, in particular, even though I already said that I like summertime, I also like springtime, because springtime is obviously the season before summer. And there are times, in between where it's nice out and then it's cold out and it's nice again and then it's cold again. Kind of like the last 2 weeks have been. There have been times where it'll be like 60, 70 degrees and then it'll drop back down to like the 30s, 40s. And then it'll go back up to the 50s and 60s, and then it'll drop back down to the 30s and 40s. And they say that that's the type of weather that gets people sick. They're very right, because obviously people aren't meant to, go back and forth between changing weather conditions so quickly. These last couple days, it hasn't been terrible as far as weather-wise. It's been in the it's been in the mid-50s, high 40s, low 40s, high 30s. It's been decent. Obviously, it's been a little gloomy, a little bit of rain, but that's pretty much what springtime brings. Obviously, I talked about summertime, which is where, the hottest weather comes, where you get those 65 degrees and up. But over the course of my years, obviously, I've had days where, it has been pretty cold. One year in particular was actually the year of my graduation, the summer of 2009. We had a big gathering at my house in Shenango Forks, and we actually sent out, I don't know, I think we sent out like 300 invitations to this gathering, and we actually had a pretty good turnout of probably like 175 people. And towards the end of the gathering, it started to get really dark and cloudy, and then it started to snow in June. And we ended up with 2 inches of snow that night. Still not sure how that happened, almost 15 years later, but that was a pretty crazy time. Summer's not perfect. Like I said, it goes everywhere it wants to. Obviously, Mother Nature is very unpredictable. Like I said, summertime is my favorite. And then, of course, we have the redheaded stepchild, fall. Fall is when, basically, as the name says, temperatures begin to fall. Granted, again, over the last 32 years, I've had falls where, it's been extremely nice. I've had falls where it's been extremely cold. I've had falls in between. There was one particular year that I remember. Couldn't tell you off the top of my head what year it was, but I do remember it was the year I graduated from college. Pretty sure it was I'm almost certain it was 2015. But there was a period where I was at school and I managed to take pictures of me walking in downtown Binghamton in a tank top because it peaked 75 degrees over a 4-day period. Unfortunately, on the 4th day, it only got to 67. And then the day after that, it dropped back down to, I think, like 51. But that was actually pretty nice. And of course, there have been days where, after September, which technically I think September 21st is the first day of fall. There have been snowstorms, rainstorms, very nice weather, everything in between. Hurricanes, floods, stuff like that. Just goes to show you that, like I said, Mother Nature and the weather is unpredictable. And then, of course, last but not least, we get to most people's least favorite season, but yet the one that I have the most to talk about, which is really weird, because it's actually my least favorite, and that is winter. I will be straightforwardly honest with you. I do not like winter at all. It is literally my least favorite season, because of the fact that 9 times out of 10, during the winter, it's cold, it's snowy, it's icy. There's not a lot to do during the winter, unless you live in an area where it's always warm, Florida. And then maybe you can find something to do. Unfortunately, I live in upstate New York, where there's not a lot to do in the winter around here, which is part of the reason why during the winter time, I usually stay inside as much as possible, especially if it's in the single digits. I try not to go out as much as possible, or I'm wearing a ton of layers. And, I just try to stay as warm as possible. Like I said, when it's icy, I definitely don't do anything. I try not to drive in the ice. A couple Januaries back, I actually had an incident where I was hanging out with my friend, and we decided we were going to hang out longer than we had thought to. And I had told her that I didn't want to stay to hang out with her for too long because there was a snowstorm coming. But we ended up hanging out for like 3 or 4 hours, and we would have gone, seeing as neither one of us had anything to do the next day, we would have stayed. We would have continued hanging out the rest of the night. But it was already, I think it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, or it was later than that. I don't remember. But it started to snow, and we were actually parked on the side of the road where we were hanging out. And, snow started. It started to get a little heavy. And I basically told her that, I was going to take her home before the storm got any worse, because this was the storm we were anticipating. And, just to be on the safe side, I decided to stay off the highway to go home. And I ended up coming through Appalachian, the next town over from where I live. And I hit a patch of black ice, swerved into a ditch, ran over one of those reflectors on the side of the road, and got my car stuck. Well, luckily for me, I was not hurt. Scared the crap out of me. But luckily there was no damage done to my car yet, although I was stuck in the ditch. Well, a motorist traveling by saw me on the side of the road, decided to hook his chain to the front of my car, pull me out of the ditch, and when he did, he pulled me back over the reflector, and it ended up ripping the bumper off of my car. But I pretty much had to drive in, I think I was doing 15 miles per hour down 434 with my front bumper hanging off of my car. Luckily, my brother was working at KFC that night. I stopped to work with him after getting off the phone, and I said, dude, we have a problem. My bumper's ripped off. I told him how it happened, and he said there wasn't anything he could do for it. So I ended up driving my car home, and I had to figure out what to do with it. Took it to the local repair shop. They were going to charge me almost $20 more than what I paid for the car just to fix my bumper. And my buddy decided that all it needed to be done was put some zip ties on it to reattach the bumper. So that actually worked until I got rid of my car that summer, ironically. 3 days after my birthday, I ended up buying my Fusion. But that's a story for another day. Also in the wintertime, like I said, there's nothing to do. I don't really like going out. It's cold, it's icy. Obviously, you have to shovel snow, so that's the benefit of being out in the snow is the fact that, you get to shovel. And for a guy like me, I consider that a workout because it's cardio. Um, it's lifting snow, whether it wet or light. And obviously, for those of you who were talking to me or actually know a little bit more about me, this past winter, I actually spent some time outside with my fiance and my son in the snow, and my son had a blast. So, winter's not all that bad in my, experience. It's not that great. At least I don't think so. Just because of, the circumstances. Obviously, the good thing about the difference between the other 3 seasons most of the time and winter is depending on where you live, you don't really see any school closings in the spring or summertime. Fall, it's iffy. Winter, most of the time it usually happens because of freezing pipes, burst pipes due to frozen conditions, school delays because of so much snow, or just closings due to road conditions or whatever. But you don't see any of that in any of the other seasons. I, for one, have never seen a school closing in the middle of June because of a snow day. Just throwing that one out there. Even that one particular day in 2009, obviously it didn't matter because we only got like 2 inches of snow, and I think it melted off the next afternoon anyway. But it was already summertime and the schools were closed for summer vacation anyway. So even if we did, we probably would have gotten a delay or something, and it would have melted off in the afternoon anyway. If I had to, which I'm going to, just because, this is what this video is about. If I had to rank the seasons from my personal experience, obviously summer would be number one. Because as I said, you have the heat. There, especially in a town like Owego, there is more to do in the summertime. Places to go, things to do. People actually want to be outside more, and obviously everybody goes on vacation during the summer. As I mentioned a couple minutes ago, summer vacation. Obviously you get a winter vacation for Christmas. You get a spring vacation for Easter. Not sure what the fall vacation is. I don't really think there is one, but that's beside the point. Summer vacation, being a parent for the last 3 years, my kid doesn't really get affected by summer vacation just because of the fact that summer vacation is, summer vacation doesn't really apply to him. I think he has like a week off of school in summertime and then he goes right back. But he's still in daycare, so summer vacation doesn't really apply to him, and it probably won't until he gets like to elementary school or whatever that age criteria is. as I was saying, ranking the seasons, like I said, summer would be number one. More to do, better temperatures. People seem happier during the summer. Number two would actually be springtime, which actually starts on Wednesday. The first, or no, it's not Wednesday, it's Thursday, is the first official day of spring. And I like springtime because you basically get a taste of what summer might be. Springtime is also obviously the changing of the clocks for daylight savings, which was last Sunday. And it's like they say, you spring forward for daylight savings, and then you fall back for when it ends. But spring would be number two. Like I said, more to do. There's a little bit more to do in springtime. People seem a little bit happier, not as much as they do in summertime. Obviously there's flowers. The trees regrow their leaves. Spring cleaning is a huge thing during the springtime, hence the name. I actually did a video on that. Maybe I'll do it for my next video. Just kidding. Number three would actually be fall. I'm not against fall. It's definitely not my favorite, but it's definitely not my least favorite of the seasons, of the 4 seasons. I like fall because it's the time of the year where things start to wind down. Obviously, fall, you have Halloween and Thanksgiving, and temperatures are fluctuating in and out just like they do in springtime. May or may not get snow showers, may or may not get rain showers, may or may not get 60, 70, 80 degree weather, may or may not get 30, 40, and teen 20s and 30s weather. It all depends. And obviously my number 4 season, my least favorite of the 4, is wintertime. Winter is, as I stated, my least favorite because it's cold, it's icy, it's snowy, there's not a lot to do. There's more road hazards during the winter because of the wintry conditions than there is mostly during the clearer weather, we'll say. Wintertime is also, I guess you could say, it's technically the end of the line, but also the beginning. Because if you think about it, winter is the only season out of the 4 that ends one year and the same winter starts the next one. Which I find extremely ironic, given the fact that, when the calendar year changes on New Year's, we go into a new year, but yet we're still in the same season. It's not like it's a new, because it just wouldn't make sense for us to say that for an example, we'll say winter 2023 ended and winter 2024 ended, because that just doesn't make sense. You're still in winter of 2023, but you're not at the same time. Which, I mean, as cool as that sounds, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really appease me that much. So that's my rant today on seasons. As I alluded to in the beginning of the video that I do next Sunday will be a kind of a playoff of this one, but I'm going to leave that for next week. Obviously, you know, I got to get my thoughts together and figure out what's going to go into that video and how we are going to present it to you guys in a favorable manner. So with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next trip to the pond.